glad you're here to listen to wonderful program coming to you. And please don't forget to subscribe or give us a thumbs up. Welcome. We are having live and welcome to KJTV. And among us, we have Diaspora African youths who are going to discuss about the facts and myths about COVID-19 vaccines. Welcome. So here in the studio, we have, when I think somebody can see your name, we have among us, we have Knowledge Johnson. Knowledge Johnson is a pre-med student at the University of Minnesota. Welcome, Knowledge. And then we have Makinon Mokoro, who is a student at Kansas State University, a mechanical engineering student. Welcome. And we have Charity Mabeya, who is a nursing student at South Central College. Welcome. Yeah, my first question I want to ask, what is your experience with COVID-19 vaccine? So I'll start with you, Charity.
My experience has been a bit rough. Being a student and everything having to go online has been kind of difficult because being a visual learner student who needs more help and interacting with teachers who are able to show you this and that. So going online was kind of challenging because you don't really have the teacher and the support that you need. So that was one thing that was really hard, the COVID. And another issue was there's the on-campus jobs that students can do. We couldn't do them because everything was kind of limited. It was tough and challenging for me personally, and more students.
Okay. Knowledge. What about you?
Pretty much the same thing here. Having to take some things online, missing out on some labs because of Corona is also a challenge because everything pretty much has to be made up for. Even just trying to stay fit, going to the gym. So it's a lot of different things.
Okay. Yeah, Makinon. What about you?
For me personally, the whole COVID pandemic has really taken a toll on me because I'm a runner, and being a distance runner, you rely on your lungs a lot. So the fear of me getting COVID is always on in the back of my mind. So that has kind of restrained me from going out as much, being as social as I used to be before COVID. And on top of that, the gatherings, like whenever I'm with my friends or like even on our track team, they can't be as many of us as there used to be, and it's just not the same anymore.
Okay. Well, it has been quite a challenge. And then what have you learned so far? What are some of the lessons you have learned? This is something which came to us in 2019, but we really got the effect in 2020. What are some of the lessons you have learned since that time? This time we start with Makinon.
The lessons I've learned during this time is just continue being resilient and thinking about others. A lot of times is when COVID first started, I kind of didn't pay too much mind to it because I was like, well, if I caught COVID, I'm healthy and young enough to where I could be able to fight it. But the more as time went on, I started realizing that it's not just me I'm thinking of, it's everyone else around me.
Okay.
And to add on to that, I feel like a lot of youths take into think, that we don't have to wear the mask, but the mask is crucial because it stops people from. The mask doesn't protect me; it protects the others around me to not get COVID.
Okay. about you, knowledge? Like some of the lessons you have learned.
Not being selfish. It's very, just like McKinney said, wearing your mask, especially a big thing. And it's all different around the states. Kind of, like you will go to Florida, and you wouldn't have people wearing their masks down there, and then you come up a little more up north, and you have people wearing their masks. It's people need kind of an understanding of just the simple things. Like, for instance, there's a study called it's a 2020 study from the Health Affairs Journal about wearing your mask. You can send that to people, have them read it. I think the most important lesson I learned is not being selfish, because I was kind of against the mask, like at the very, very start, till I just did my research.
Okay, good. What about you, Charity?
Just the same way they have said, and also self-care is important because everything had to change. We had to adjust our schedules, our lifestyle had to change. So that was kind of stressful because if you don't really take care of your mental health and self-care, there was high increased number between the youths, because we are not really going out as much and meeting the people you used to meet as much. So being restricted in the house or like limited interactions was kind of hard, and it can cause people have some stress. And not everybody deals with stress good, because some people, if we go out and talk to people, see people, it kind of helps us. And like just being in the house, you don't really see anybody, you don't see most of your friends and your family. Yeah, your mental health kind of goes down. So it's really important to take care of your mind and yourself.
Okay, that's very good. Now, we know about the vaccine. You have heard about the different types of vaccine. We have Moderna, we have Pfizer, we have Johnson & Johnson. And what has been your experience? And I know there is a lot of information you have heard about, some myths about these vaccines. More especially that now the youths are supposed to be vaccinated. If I would give you a graph there, if you see that graph, that is from NPR News, in Minnesota alone, that is a percentage of different age groups. And I know many of you are between 18, maybe 16 to 40. So you can see there between 16 and 17, we have those who have been vaccinated are 64%. Between 18 to 49, they are at 67%. And so many numbers. What are some of the challenges which has made some of the youths not getting vaccinated? Like some of the myths you have had out there. Charity.
One of the myths is I'm young, my immune is strong. Even if I get the COVID, it won't be really that bad, and I can be able to fight it off. Unlike somebody who's in the age of 60s and above, the immune is low. So that is one of the main myths that youth, personally me, I had also, because I didn't see the importance of taking the vaccine because I'm young. So why would I take a vaccine yet I'm young and my body can fight any immune that comes in? But that's wrong, because I had an experience to have COVID, and it wasn't really that bad because after like 3 days I was normal, but still I had quarantine. But after 3 days, my symptoms were kind of done. And like, what if I didn't have the COVID vaccine? It would be something else differently. So
okay, well, that's good to share. Makinon, what are some of the myths you have heard from your colleague youths?
A myth that's been going around, and it kind of started when the vaccines first came out, that I kind of subscribe to, is that usually vaccines take a long process to be made, spanning over years, where a lot of testing is being done in order for the vaccine to be verified and get given out to the public. So the myth that caused that was a lot of people, and myself included, used to think that the COVID vaccine is not safe because it was rapidly developed and tested in such a short time span. But after doing some research and learning more about it, I came to find out that the urgent need for the COVID-19 vaccines caused the FDA's vaccine approval process to give an emergency use authorization to where the COVID-19 vaccines were deemed safe safer to given out to the public, even though there was less data than is typically required because of the need for the vaccine, because a lot of people were dying.
Okay, thank you. That's good. How about you, Knowledge?
The biggest myth I've heard, especially from people around me and people just in school and things of that nature, is that you don't need the vaccine if you already had the virus. You know, people think that if you already had the virus and you got through it, you're already immune to it, which is pretty much true, but it's only up to 8 weeks. That's pretty much the rough estimate. They say it's almost like getting the cold. You know, it's like if you get the cold, you're not immune to it forever. You're eventually gonna get it again. So that's pretty much the biggest myth I heard, and that circles all the way back to, well, not all the way back, but that circles back to what I said about being selfish, because you might feel like because you had it once, you're immune to it, but then you may catch it again, say 2 months down the line, and spread it to a person, like an older person or something of that nature. And although the vaccine isn't, neither vaccine is 100% going to prevent you from getting it, but it's still important to get your vaccine just to make sure you be safe.
So how have you, with all those myths you have had, how have you tried to reach your colleague youths in giving them the really facts from the myths?
Me?
Yeah.
Articles. I send people articles all the time. I'm making sure people read, because people have to know. Like, it's different from telling somebody versus them reading it from like a source themselves. People might look at you as like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, because there's so many different opinions out there. Some people not believing in Corona and a bunch of different things. So you got to get them reading. Maybe have them talk to their doctors and things of that nature. Have them talk, maybe even read books on just viruses in general. I think it's just a lack of education and people understanding what COVID-19 really is that kind of keeps the youth away from it.
But we have heard even my knowledge. I have to ask you. You have said about lack of education. Actually, we have heard the most educated people are the one who are resisting the vaccine. The people who have a lot of knowledge are actually the one who are against it. What would you say about that?
Say that one more time.
You said that lack of education, but we have got the most educated people. There are some people who are highly educated, but they are against the vaccine.
Oh yeah, definitely. What are we 2 years in now? I think everybody should know something, but there's still them people I talk to every now and then who haven't got a vaccine, who don't wear a mask and things of that nature, who just they just live with it. They kind of just go out and just, as long as they're good, they're not worried about anybody else. That's what I mean by that. Because 2-3 years into Corona, if you don't know something about it, if you like people who say don't believe in it, the conspiracists and all that, putting lives on the line, I'm talking about those people, because for the majority of people, you should know to wear your mask and have your vaccines on.
Okay, good. Magnon, how have you explained some of those to your friends?
To go back to what Nal just said, because earlier he talked about how the common myth is that the youths believe that once they get once they catch COVID, then they're immune to it. I actually had a teammate who caught COVID in September when we first came back to school. So then he was they say the 90-day rule where you can't catch COVID again. But then after his 90 days in January,
Mm.
This January, he ended up catching it.
Okay.
And we'd always talk about how, the best immune is getting COVID.
Mhm.
And beyond all the studies that was being shown, my teammates and I would send him articles for him to read, but he always could continue being stuck in his ways. Like the saying says, I could send someone a lot of articles, a lot of the facts, hard proven facts, but you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that quote is saying,
Okay.
yeah.
So what do you do with them?
I mean, what are we to do but give them the information, and what they do with that information is according to them, because there's
Okay.
nothing more we could do than provide them with the information, and the decision they make, we just have to live with it because there's nothing else we could do.
Okay. Charity, what about you?
I would say, yeah, we have so many people who are ignorant nowadays, and everybody is entitled to their opinions, and we need to respect other people's opinions. But at the same time, we need to think about others, because if you go out there, you don't want to protect yourself. At the same time, you're not vaccinated. Also remember there are people who are at high risk if they get the COVID, or they have underlying health issues that can really put them in trouble. That is something that people need to think about. And also, like, most people they have people around them who have kids or vulnerable adults. Yeah, like, just kind of put yourself in those shoes. Like, what if it was me and there's somebody else who's out there doing whatever they want to do, putting everybody else at risk, and still being ignorant. But at the end of the day, like the quote says, it is up to you. Like, whatever you want to do with your life, it's up to you. But
Yeah.
kind of really think about others.
Okay. Have you ever heard about that there is a myth that COVID-19 vaccine contains a microchip? Have you ever come across that?
Yeah, so people have those myths that, like, we are in the era of 6666, wherever that is. But yeah, life is changing, and things are changing nowadays. So yeah, people believe like those chips are like we are being controlled, and the chips can, like, everybody can know your information. The government can know your information and stuff. But at the same time, everybody knows your information. The government knows your information. So for being scared of the world,
Yeah.
talking about the end of the world, 666, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say something about that also. That goes back to the conspiracists who just don't give a care in the world about COVID-19. It's the one saying there's chips in there, conspiracy, and the natural immune thing. Like what Kenneth said about his teammate, I've heard that more than anything. Even if you don't know, I'm a boxer also. Every time you go to the gym, there's always topics and conversations about have you got your vaccine, and people say I've already had the virus. That's the best immune you're gonna get. Things of that nature. It's just people who don't. There's certain like pretty for the most part, everybody should be educated and know some things. But there's people who just, as long as they're good, nothing in the world, nothing matters to them. They have the conspiracy. There's chips in the vaccine. There's what's the other one? It'll kill you 15 years down the line. You won't be able to have kids if you won't be. They say you won't be able to have kids. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they say that's a good one too. Makinan, have you heard people about microchips?
To go back to what knowledge said, I've heard of that myth going around, but I try not to surround myself with people who believe in conspiracy theories, because at that point, then the people who believe in conspiracy theories are always going to try to get you to believe in whatever they have going on, such as the government is putting chips to track your every move. Like the type of people that believe that, they could continue believing in what they believe in. And going back to what Charity says, I don't think anyone that says they're not going to get the vaccine is ignorant. It's just a decision that they made for themselves. And and the more I thought about it, I came to a realization that some people are going to be stuck in their ways until COVID-19 impacts them in a major way, such as if someone around them gets COVID-19 and I hate to say that, but gets ill or passes away, then it will truly hit them how COVID-19 is serious. And the people who believe in microchips, I think that's when they will start taking COVID-19 seriously. And
yeah. Well, yeah, like what Knowledge has said about that myth about that vaccine affects your fertility. You know, even us, you know, this thing has been a long time ago. When I was a young person, I actually was in elementary school. So in Africa, they introduced this free primary school milk. I know you never lived during that time. I think your time. So that conspiracy also came that the milk the government is giving you is making you not to be fertile. You will be sterile. And it was very serious. Actually, some people believed about it. So it has been long, and I think is one of the reasons that youths fear.
I do also want to say something about the vaccine missing. There is a little backup behind that. So for people who don't know, the usual testing process for making a vaccine is 2 to 4 years, and the reason for that is in the process of making a vaccine, you have to have test subjects. Basically, like say, for instance, they were making a chickenpox vaccine or something of that nature. They would have test subjects and test them and then monitor them for the next 2 to 4 years to make sure there's no long-term reaction. Now, to back up, there was always a lot of unknown about the vaccines because it was the Johnson & Johnson came out in about a year, so it didn't go through the full testing process. So the long-term effects from it is kind of still unknown, but it is the long-term. So the long-term effects is like unknown. It's not like every previous vaccine where it's had a 2 to 4 year testing process. That worried people. So that
that goes back to sorry to cut you off.
Go on, Macron.
That goes back to what I said earlier, how what Knowledge said is exactly why at first I was hesitant to get the vaccine because all the previous vaccines went through that whole process, but given that the COVID-19 vaccines was needed, that's why they were able to get the emergency act in order to provide the vaccines to the public.
But also you should know that they used the new technology, the mRNA technology. They did not go. Of course, Johnson kind of went the traditional way. We had, if you can see that graph, that diagram there, the messenger RNA is where they used the technology that they took the spike of the COVID-19 virus. And then they put the messenger RNA from there and to which looks the same like that to manufacture those cells, which made the process easier than the traditional way where you were to get the dead cell and then make a virus. So also we should also appreciate that the technology we used made them quickly to analyze the virus, and then they were able to replicate that. So we cannot, you can't go. There was a time in the world, even in America and Europe, they were using horses to carry people around. When the automobile came, they made life easier. So we cannot say that the testing has to take 4 years with the new technology.
Yeah. And I was saying earlier how that is a common myth that is thought of by youths that through further researching, I was able to find this kind of what you briefly talked about, how another myth that kind of intertwines with how the COVID vaccine usually should have taken years is another myth that is around was that COVID-19 vaccines will alter the DNA. And after doing research, I came to find out how the COVID-19s Our vaccines are messenger mRNA vaccines, which is basically the mRNA vaccines. They work by like instructing cells in the body how to make protein that triggers an immune response. And injecting mRNA into your body would not interact or do anything to the DNA of your cells. And the human cells would just break down and get rid of the mRNA soon after they're finished, using the instructions given to them. So the vaccines are not going to alter your DNA at all.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good explanation, Markinon, about it. Yeah, that the messenger RNA only instructs. It's like a message to instruct the cells. Yeah. Knowledge, you want us to say something?
I mean, he pretty much had it. It's basically the design. It's basically designed to attack the protein needed to spread coronavirus to other bodies.
Yeah. Charity, you want to say something about that?
Now they're all true. Yeah.
Yeah, as he explained, that is how the messenger RNA works, which comes from that strand, and then once they get it, and the messenger RNA is made with instruction to make viral proteins, then now when they mix it with some lipids, and they form the vaccine. So when it is injected, it only instructs the body inside your body to make the cells which will fight and create the immune system so that when they come. So basically, if people would understand that is the process, more especially, that's where actually even where the most educated people become an issue. They read too much, and also not everything which is written is true, because even the people who are against, they are very smart people. They have also written articles. Have you ever come across such an article? People who are talking against them?
Yes, I have. And in this day and age, it seems like I've came to find out that everyone in the world, when it comes to COVID-19, has to do their research, because before that, people used to get the flu shot, all types of different vaccines, and not bat an eye. But as soon as COVID-19 came around, now everyone has to do their research before getting the COVID-19 vaccine, which is very strange. And I'll be lying if I said I wasn't there before, because before I got the COVID-19 vaccine, when I was hesitant, I had to think to myself, every time I went to the doctor, and I've gotten surgery on my knee before, I never did my research on the medicine that they were using to put me under sleep when I was getting my surgery. I just went along with it and trusted the doctors that they're looking out for the best interest of my health. So that's what caused me to personally get the COVID-19 vaccine. And another thing, like when people are doing all these research, and I did too, you're gonna come across a lot of times when people are doing their their research, they're looking for things that supports their argument. They're not looking for unbiased articles. They're going to websites that is such as .com, things that doesn't really have facts, where it's just people just stating their beliefs, and then they get those beliefs and then they just run with it, instead of looking down to the facts that come along with what the article is stating. They don't go to websites that has .gov. They just .com, .org, and things of that nature.
Okay.
I want to speak on that. There's something my pre-med advisor told me too that always stuck with me. She said not everybody's a doctor. Not everybody can be a physician. Basically, what she was meaning by that is not everybody is gonna dig deep into corona. Not everybody in the world. So she was like, you just got to simple it down for everybody. Not everybody's gonna read 30 page articles, watch full videos, this and that. He said you just kind of got to simple it down for some people. I hope they understand.
Yeah, that's true. Charity?
Yeah, you can't expect everybody to every time you send them something to read it and know everything about corona.
Okay.
yeah, just how they both said, I think it's true. But because when we can still like only in COVID-19 vaccine, that is when everybody has their own opinions, like feeling their own things. But like uh especially in Kenya or even here, we get like different vaccines. Uh, some that we don't know about. We just trust that the doctor has the best interest for us. So we really don't do our own research, like, oh, which injection or which vaccine is my child being given. We just trust the doctor that whatever the doctor will put inside my kid or whatever the doctor will put inside me will be the best thing. So, but when it comes to COVID-19, it's kind of different. So, because everybody is looking at their own, just how they put it, like their own opinions.
Okay. Now, as youths, as diaspora African youths, what are some of the ways you have tried to encourage youths to get vaccinated so that we can come to 100%? As you saw, we are at 64%. Charity.
To be honest, youth are hard. But one thing I think I encourage them is just hoping for the best that somebody will take your advice and go take it.
Okay.
Because it's hard, honestly, it's hard. But I feel like if it would put like educational facts and kind of make it more fun for the youth, probably maybe like put like a prize. If you get your vaccine, you'll get maybe $50 or something. I know there'll be so many people go for it, but
They actually already doing that.
yeah. So if they do that, kind of helps. Then putting like things at school, because where like the youth are more gathering, like having sessions where they can really be taught about their COVID vaccines and maybe they can get it.
Okay. Knowledge. What are you trying to help?
I think as it pertains to the youth, it's up to the doctors and parents. When the parents take the children to the doctors, for the doctors to kind of, just kind of how I got mine when I was younger. I'll go for a checkup and the doctor, kind of tell me all the information I need, and I'll get my vaccine. Because as it pertains to children under 18, it's pretty much to their parents, and not some just person off the street could kind of tell them you should go get your vaccine and that things of that nature.
Okay. And Macron?
I would personally encourage the youth we're talking about older teens to just stop for a moment and just think about how it would truly impact you if you got COVID, or if you didn't have the vaccine and you caused someone else and you had COVID and you passed it along to a family member who wasn't as healthy as you and caused them to be severely ill. Because then when you stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about others, I feel like that's when true progress could be made. And while I say that, I also say this, that when you, and this live stream is to help encourage the youth, but it's also to take into account that you can't in this day and age, you can't force youth to do anything, because when you force them to do something is when
they don't want to do it.
They push back. So you just, if you're on the line about whether to get the vaccine, I encourage you to talk to your doctor. Do not look online, because when you look online, you're just gonna find things. You're gonna find the thing that you're looking for. And when you're on the line about the vaccine or thinking you don't want to get it, you're just gonna find things that is telling you not to get the vaccine.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, Macron, you have raised one question that youths, you millennials these days, you don't listen to your parents. You want the parents to listen to you. But your parents have the knowledge and the wisdom. And don't you think as youths, you need to listen to your parents because they come with a wealth of experience?
Yeah.
What do you need? What do you say that knowledge? Don't you think they should listen? Don't you think you should listen to parents?
I'll be, of course, but as people approach their teen years, it becomes a little more argumentative. I remember when I was 14, I thought I knew it all too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Magnon, you want to say something?
Yeah. I agree with knowledge where a lot of times like now when you start approaching those teen years, you start thinking that you know best, and it's kind of where, and it's how it's presented to you. If your parent they sat down and brought you to the doctor to talk about getting the vaccine,
Mm.
I feel like teens are more susceptible to listen in that way, opposed to if the parent told them you're gonna get the vaccine, because that's when an argument comes up, and then it will not end up happening.
So you are saying that parents should not instruct their children to go get the vaccine?
No, I think they should, but kind of make it like reasonable. Because at the same time, we need to be hard, and rather just the parents like this is what I say and this is what you do. We're not
Okay.
in the era that like I also have my opinion. At least listen to my opinion and let me listen to yours. And if we don't agree, like can we just figure out on how we both agree? Because if I say whatever I want and the parent says whatever they want, that is where there's conflict. But we
Okay.
sat down and talked because mainly it's more of talking just between
Okay.
parents and kids. Talk talk goes a long way because if you sit your kid down and talk to them
Mm-hmm.
respectfully the same way as your youth child or whatever child your age is, they'll listen to you. It's how you approach the child or whatever the adult do, whoever you're
Oh,
talking, it's how you approach somebody.
okay.
Somebody can't just come and throw things at you and expect you to do it because you also have your own opinion. Let me say mine. Let me hear what you say, and can you hear also mine? And if we don't agree, can we just figure something that we can both agree on?
Okay. Well, yeah, that is very good. Is there's we have come to end of discussion. You are really great. You present us. We really appreciate for you taking time. I know you are busy. Magna, I know you are running for a game or what. I know knowledge you are, you are running to do your assignments. Thank you for taking time to come, and we hope to see you in future if we ask you to come and give some light.
Thank you. And just something before we close up. I would want to encourage the youth that would probably have maybe a dialogue in the summer. So to talk about things with the youth, and maybe with that time we can encourage more youth to be open to getting vaccines, whoever who haven't got them. Because some is fun, so maybe make things that are fun for the youth. And
Okay.
hopefully we can reach out for them. Yeah, thank
Oh, that would be very good.
you.
Yeah. So we really appreciate you coming. Magnon, you want to say something?
No, I think we've covered all the bases for the day.
Okay. Knowledge?
No, I'm fine. I have opinion on shit.
Well, thank you very much for your time. And this event was sponsored by Minnesota East African Community Organization. And we really appreciate them for coordinating this. And we wish you the best of luck as you continue that. We'll see you later.